Howdy, howdy, folks. It is Quinny back at you with another video. I hope you are having a great day because I sure am. So, today's video has been a long time in the making. Let me just put it that way because I've been wanting to talk about this topic for ages, right? I am about to talk about the biggest organization in this region, the Demon Clan. I say it is the largest because they have so many members and affiliates spread out to the point where you can't even count like how many are there. Like they're just everywhere. It's people that wouldn't even you wouldn't even imagine pretty much. Like it's people you wouldn't expect. So they run a lot of the criminal underworld in terms of everything that pretty much happens, right? You know, the drug market they control, the weapons market they control, illegal contraband, you know, women in nightlife, you name it, they have it. And it is it's very crazy how they got to this point because it's not like they controlled it naturally, like they built themselves from the ground up. No, they went and they took down everybody else that was all the way up there and they basically just stole it from them. And then after they took their businesses, after they took their rackets, they pretty much just eradicated their competition at that point in time. And they are also responsible, or at least allegedly responsible, for high profile killings that happen in the region that I will get to in later in this video. And they are basically spreading to different regions because they want to broaden their horizons deeper so they can basically control the markets of the other regions as well. You know, they're gonna partner with people there too, and they're gonna partner with other organizations as well. And all I gotta say is this: I'm gonna be talking about a lot here, so let's not waste any more time and let's get into it. Well, first things first, let's talk about their glorious, evil, demonic leader, Denji Demons. He is a demon hog, which demon hogs are pretty much just a breed of pretty much just a special like species of hedgehog that have like little demon horns that stick out of their heads. And some of them also have like very sharp eyes. Like Denji pretty much has both of those things. But pretty much from what I saw in his police file, which is publicly available, he basically grew up in the north side of Vermilion and he had a very, let's just say, tough upbringing. His dad is named Udonis. Udonis Demons. Udonis came up during my dad's time of, the wild wild west of the Vermilion City, like of the Vermilion City drug trade, right? So he pretty much was getting money and doing pretty much whatever like everybody else was doing at the time, especially like my dad and my uncle and stuff. But with him, he was also into, let's just say he was also into getting hats. I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you know what hats means, but getting hats basically is slang for murders. But anyway, he would basically get caught and he would go to jail for a quadruple homicide that he committed during a drug deal gone wrong. And he was sentenced to death. Right? Basically, he had a very, very like he saw that there was a legal loophole that he could exploit so he could get out. So he took advantage of that. And he basically got out. He actually partnered with his son to control the Demon Clan, which, I mean, I think you know how good that went. It's because, next thing you know, he basically decided to kill two other people and he was put back in prison. awaiting trial, pretty much. So when it comes to Denji, I don't really know about his childhood shenanigans because I mean they don't really talk about that in his police record. They just know of a generalization of his upbringing and about his father. Like, I don't know who his mother is. I don't know if he has any siblings. I don't know if he has any distant relatives either. But pretty much, well, that's all I can really say about, how he was. But there's some other things I want to talk about, like, when it comes to him as well. Like, he has a certain ability, and it is a weird as fuck ability. Let me, just bear with me when I say this, right? He has an ability where anybody that he has, or anybody that he gets intimate with, like even as much as I want to say a kiss, he would basically put them under his control. He is and that plus his master manipulation, like his skills of master manipulation, basically just turns this guy into a cult leader of a generation. He's done that to so many people, and it is like one of the craziest things ever. Like, this man would have people that hate him come up to him. All he would do is just put on that manipulation, and he would just win them over just like that. And that's why he is extremely dangerous, because all he would have to do is just swoon you, and it's pretty much over at that point. So he would show off his master manipulation skills and his weird traits by basically hiring, or I guess you could say recruiting, his first demon clan member. He went to a region called the Shinji region, which is east of L'Oreal. He would go to a village because the Shinji region has a ton of villages where it's basically they're separated from the high-tech cities, and these villages are basically for just regular villagers who want to live the simple life, and he would go to the Hiradora clan village, which was a village that inhabited the Hiradora clan, which was a clan of warriors and assassins. So he was looking for a particular woman. Her name was Asuka Hiradora. She was a beacon of hope for the village. Like, she was pretty much she was a role model for a lot of the women. She was looked up to by, like, the little girls. She was like a beacon. She was pretty much, like I said, a beacon of hope. She was the village's pride. She was the village's pride and joy, pretty much. So what happened was, she basically grew her strength to be pretty much the strongest in the village. And she would help the sick. She would take care of children that would either run away from home or were also sick. She was the pride and joy of the village. And on the other side, she was also a master assassin. Like, her nickname was the Deadly Nightshade because she would approach her targets at the dead of night, and she would take them out effortlessly, leave without a trace, and disappear into the night. Deadly Nightshade. Get it? So anyway, basically what happened was, he read about her, and he was like, yeah, I want her on my team. So he went, and he knocked the guards out and entered the village. He basically burnt down a sacred pillar of the village, or he set one of the pillars on fire, which in tandem would attract the villagers, and they would freak out. They would just go running rampant, going crazy. Because he couldn't just simply find Asuka, because she is, like I said, she's a master martial artist, and she has a lot of senses as well. So she's not an easy person to find, even though she lives in the Hiradora clan village. But basically, he wanted to lure her out with the fire. It worked. And what a lot of people don't know is that that fire killed 22 innocent villagers, four of them being children, which is extremely sad. But anyway, she would go to the pillar and she would find the person who burnt it down or who basically started the fire. He went from like Denji went from door to door trying to find her. And they would eventually meet in a I guess you could say a bungalow or in a it was one of the houses. She noticed that he was an outsider because of the way he dressed because everybody in that village dressed pretty much alike. But she noticed that he wasn't dressed, like the villagers. So obviously she figured out he was the one that set the fire. And Denji basically was saying, "Yeah, I'm looking for you. I want you to join me and I want you to join me in my organization." Obviously, she refused. And she pretty much fought him to the death, or at least to near death, because she basically tried her best to fight him. But Denji can fight. Like, he is strong himself, even though he sits at a height of 5'5", according to the police records. But yeah, she basically took that L. And after she took that loss, Denji basically worked his master manipulation on her and his seduction. And after he seduced her, well, yeah, he basically gave her lethal back shots. Let me just put it that way. But anyway, after that, Asuka's fiance at the time was pretty much looking for her. And he found Denji just alone and by himself. So he pretty much challenged him to a fight. But her fiance didn't know was that he already basically Denji already sunk his teeth into her. And she came into the room and she pretty much faced Denji. Her fiance thought that, Asuka was going to fight him. But no. She pulled the coldest move ever, right? She pretty much kicked the absolute hell out of her fiance. And then after that kick, Asuka planted a kiss on Denji. And then, yeah, you can imagine that her fiance was crying or pissed off and angry. And she would do a lethal kick to her fiance, which pretty much disabled him, basically severing his spine. He was basically paralyzed. And then after that, Denji gave her a gun, and she basically finished him off then and there. After that, they escaped the village and fled to Vermilion City. Asuka pretty much was nothing but 100% loyal to Denji. Basically did whatever he wanted her to do. Whether it be killing somebody, whether it be capturing somebody, and other things you could also imagine that she would do for him. And it is a wild sentiment. The fact that he was able to basically manipulate and seduce one of the most powerful female fighters on Mobius is just a statement to how powerful he is. I remember another notable recruit that Denji had in the Demon Clan was someone that I was not really surprised that would join. Basically, one day I was hanging out with Samuel, and he also had Jackie over there. Jackie is a police officer, by the way, that is very close to Samuel because they deal with they have some dealings with each other and whatnot. But anyway, I remember overhearing them talking about this former police officer named this former police officer named Alina Werheimer. She was a blonde, chubby hedgehog that had a weird haircut, and she was very, very aggressive. Like, I've seen her in my neighborhood before doing arrests and detaining people. Yeah, I remember I talked about this girl named Jessie. She was a part of Jackie's STF or Special Task Force. Basically, I talked about how aggressive she was against the people that she was detaining. Alina makes Jessie look like a nursing home caretaker in comparison. Like, Alina was extremely aggressive. She was probably one of the worst people to get caught by, or like one of the worst people to get detained by, because she would make fun of you, she would kick you, she would just laugh in your face. Like, this girl was just a nightmare to deal with, right? Or I could imagine she would be a nightmare to deal with. She basically came from a police station in Rios, and she transferred to Vermilion City and joined Jackie's STF squad. She ended up pretty much she ended up pretty much becoming a mole for the Demon Clan. So basically she would feed information to the Demon Clan, and they would move accordingly to her information. And that was basically her usefulness summed up there pretty much. But that's not all she really did. She also was seduced by Denji, and she also had sex with him. Pretty much. Like, basically this girl lost her marbles. Like, this girl's sanity just her sanity kept getting lost. And she was basically like, if Denji had a girlfriend, then it would definitely be Alina. Definitely be Alina, because this girl was just batshit crazy. Like, they took pictures together. Like, she would basically carry out hits for her, or hits for him as well. Like, this girl was pretty much doing anything she could for Denji, because the funny thing is, she actually developed feelings for Denji. And that's the scary thing about it too. Obviously Denji was not feeling that, and she basically, from what I also heard, she was behind the deaths of both of her sisters. She also had two sisters, one named Mazi and one named Mitzi. She was pretty much behind both of their deaths, or allegedly behind both of their deaths. And she ended up going to prison for it. And she got broken out of prison by some of the Demon Clan members. But at that point in time, they kind of did it for nothing, because she was only there to be a mole for Denji and everybody else. She lost that. So she basically lost her usefulness. After that, she was sent on a suicide mission with Asuka to take out these two assassins. They went down hard. And I mean, they basically were beaten within an inch of their life. Asuka actually survived. Found like they actually actually realized that Asuka survived later on, but she was pretty much dead on arrival. Alina actually escaped with her life barely, and then after that, she figured out that it was a suicide mission, and that, he didn't care about her at all. So what she did was she altered her image. She lost a few pounds. She basically fixed her haircut. She moved back to Vermilion City, and she basically became a journalist that goes under the name Yellow Lightning. And she remained anonymous and fed information to both the feds and the police departments, But the reason why she remained anonymous is because she is still wanted. She's still wanted for the prison break, and she's, like I said, she's still on the run. She basically wasn't totally under his 100% control, which I am glad that she wasn't, because she was a dangerous person. There is one more that I want to talk about that has a very wild backstory, and this is one of the newest members of the Demon Clan that at least I know at least somewhat of a background on. Her name is Danity, but she is nicknamed the Ice Queen. Basically, her story is that she was this model from the Candeo region that desperately wanted to be famous, desperately wanted to, desperately wanted to be famous, desperately wanted to have money. And she ended up just pretty much not getting anywhere, which is, it's kind of sad to see, in all honesty. But anyway, she basically, her mom and dad were murdered by the Candeo cartel, which apparently her dad had a lot of unpaid debts to the Candeo cartel, and he wasn't paying on time, so they went to their house and they slaughtered them both. They would have slaughtered her too, but she wasn't home at the time. And obviously that devastated her, because the main reason why she wanted to get money for her modeling career was to help pay off her dad's debts to the Candeo family, or to the Candeo cartel. But but then again, like, she's not a good person, so like, should I really feel bad for her? But anyway, when she became an adult, she would try and travel for fashion gigs, like all over, pretty much all over, all over Candeo. Basically, she was lured into a quote unquote modeling gig by some shady modeling like talent agency or whatever. She basically ended up getting kidnapped and she was trafficked. She, like, her traffickers did just unfathomable things to her. They beat her. They basically starved her. They did things that I'm not going to even mention on this video because it's that horrible. But pretty much how Denji found her was that basically he found her on a street corner, dressed in rags, just all just torn up, crying, just wishing that she could just basically she just wished she could self-delete at that point. And he quote unquote saw the beauty in her eyes. Yeah. Basically, and you're not gonna believe this, Denji pretty much saved her. She pretty much he pretty much saved her, which is crazy to think about. He tracked down and killed the men that were trafficking her, and then after that, you know, the manipulation, the seduction, and then just you should basically be able to understand like what happened after that. And then she basically became the Danity we all know of, like, as of right now. She's stuck up, arrogant, just about her money, and it's just basically that's how her story is. Denji wanted her to become a pimp because and the reason why is because of how emotionless she was. And that's also why they called her the Ice Queen. That's why they call her the Ice Queen, because she has basically her heart is made of ice. No, it shows no emotion. So she would get two girls, and these two girls would pretty much, escort for her, and she would get money from them. Basically, pimps. They're pimps, they're hoes. You know how it is. You know how pimping goes in this day and age. But yeah, I just found her story really interesting, and that's why I kind of wanted to tell it. Other than that, there are a lot of other members that I could talk about, but I'm not going to because they're not really that important. I mean, there is a bull called his name is Riker. He was pretty much an underground fighter that basically would like throw matches for money, and then whatever. I don't even know what he is, but his name is Magi, and he used to be a fitness instructor. But the thing about him is he couldn't keep his he couldn't keep him he just couldn't keep it in his pants. Let's just put it that way. And he would be a world class homewrecker. Basically, a lot of the women that became his students, he would basically manipulate them into sleeping with them. And Denji, I guess, saw gold in that, and he basically took him in. And there is also the co-leader of the Demon Clan, which is Alexander, my ex-boyfriend. And I already did a video on him, so I don't really need to explain his backstory. And there was also this biker crew that he hired to basically traffic his drugs like through the countryside, and because they could do it faster since they were on bikes. They were called the Starry Riders, and they are also some of the most ruthless people ever, especially Starry himself, which I will get into why I think he is very ruthless on his own in just a bit. So this is where I would honestly talk about the feuds that the Demon Clan were in at the time. But there was so many feuds that they were in that it would take all day to talk about them. So there is two that I want to talk about that I have at least some knowledge of. There was the feud with the Demon Clan and the group that me and Lydia were affiliated with called the Explicit Angels. So basically it started off with this member that we had. Her name was Moe, right? Moe was a purple bat that would pretty much seduce people into giving information to her, and then she would relay that back to the Explicit Angels. And that was pretty much her whole thing. That was pretty much her job. So one day, basically when the Demon Clan came into town, the leader of the Explicit Angels at the time was worried. So she wanted more information on the Demon Clan since they were basically fresh on the block and we didn't know anything about them. So she would send Moe to try and seduce Denji and Alexander. Basically, she got put in a threesome with them, and after that threesome, she woke up pretty much blindfolded, gagged, and tied to a chair. And basically, they put her through some of the most unimaginable torture that you could possibly think about. I think the worst thing that they did to her was that they ripped her wings off. Like they ripped her wings off and they stapled them to the wall, which is just it's just vile what they did. And then after they killed her, they basically dropped her dead body in front of our. They basically dropped her dead, naked body in the middle of the street in front of the club where the Angels were headquartered at. After that, me and Lydia just got the fuck out of there. We went back to Angels Park, and that was the last time we saw any of them alive because the Demon Clan went after them and they pretty much killed all of them. They took them down one by one. That's how freaking dangerous they are. And then a second one, which is this is all the information I know about their feud with Magnus Corp. With Magnus Corp, they pretty much bought out Magnus Corp. Like at that point in time, they already had a lot of capital, so they pretty much just ended up buying them out, like just right there. And their leader at the time, Andreas, just became nothing but a servant to them. And also at this time, Andreas was, or not Andreas, but also at this time, there. I think I talked about this particular stalker before. His name is his name is Denario. Basically, he had a brief run with the Demon Clan, and he would use Andreas as, let's just say, as a servant. And then after he got bored of him, he just basically ended him permanently after that. They This is how dangerous they are. And let's just say this, right? If the Demon Clan wants you done, they will get you out of the way quickly. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It doesn't matter how messy it is, they will do it either way. They prefer it being more messy because it basically leaves a message to people to not get in their way. So now we can get to the alleged high profile murders that the Demon Clan are allegedly behind. Rouge the Bat being one of their high profile murders. Basically, Rouge the Bat's background for Vermilion City is that she is a former jewel thief. You know, she is a famous thief that has stolen millions and millions of just property from anything. She could pretty much break into anything and out, and also out of anything. Like she's stolen jewelry, she's stolen art, she's stolen priceless artifacts. It doesn't matter. She was one of them. Like, and you could never catch her with the money. And then she would sell them, and then she would sell them to these rich aristocrats that would pay her well. She used that money to pretty much start her own club called the Bat's Nest or the Bat Cave. It's one out of the two. She at the time was in a relationship with Shadow, which also at the time he was the co-leader of the Red Rubies, right beside Sonic, who he would actually have a relationship with. So after that much, basically they would part ways. Rouge would get into a relationship and later a marriage with Knuckles. And like Shadow would have his own problems and stuff, which I'm not going to get into in this video. But anyway, the Demon Clan started picking off the rubies one by one. And Shadow was on their hit list, pretty much. But he would manage to evade them as long as he could. He would go to Rouge, and Rouge would pretty much hide him in her and Knuckles' house. Knuckles was not, he was not, let's just say he was not wanting to do that because Knuckles felt like Rouge was secretly seeing Shadow behind his back. And that's a whole like story for another time. But anyway, basically there was this ninja at the time that worked for the Demon Clan. The ninja asked Rouge, if the ninja found Rouge and asked Rouge if she knew where Shadow is, she told him no. Then after that, the ninja told Rouge that if he found out that she was lying, she would have her head on a pike. And he dipped. So basically they worked out that Rouge definitely was lying about harboring Shadow. Basically, they kidnapped her from her job. Or they kidnapped her from her club. And they basically kind of tortured her in similar ways they did to Moe from the Explicit Angels. And basically, she met a similar fate with having her wings ripped off and being killed. The cops found her in that same abandoned. The cops found her in an abandoned, like in an abandoned apartment, basically just dead. After that, they basically framed it to make it seem that Shadow committed the murder. He was arrested and he was sentenced to multiple life sentences. While he was in prison, he had someone that was he had a Demon Clan member that was inside the prison. Basically, that Demon Clan member that was inside the prison shanked Shadow up hard. And the shank apparently was covered in just disgusting, gross shit. All right? To basically infect his stab wounds. Now, the alleged person that shanked him was Starry. See, Starry got caught. Starry and his crew got caught. And two of them were dead. Two of them were shot and killed, while Starry was arrested. And Starry basically got sentenced to multiple life sentences. He was the one that allegedly committed that murder against Shadow. And then after that, they got what they wanted. The Rubies were dead, and they took over all of the Rubies' assets after that. And there is a lot of conspiracy theories as well to say that Amy Rose was one of the people that were behind the murder, that was behind the murder of Rouge, or she basically ended up working with them to help kill Rouge. And basically, she finessed the deed. She basically finessed the deed out of Knuckles' hands, and now she is the owner of Rouge's former club that she calls now the Pink Rose. That she calls the Pink Rose now. And the Pink Rose pretty much is just a haven for bad people. And as a gift for her loyalty, she basically has surrounded herself with an inner circle of 3 top tier Demon Clan members. A former boxer, or at least a boxer named Wilhelm, a drug dealer named Mimi, and the aforementioned Ice Queen herself, Danity. And Amy also has ties to street gangs in Jubilee City as well. So yeah, like I said before, Amy is a social media influencer, and she promotes her club and everything else through her social media. So the Demon Clan pretty much have a social media star under their payroll, and it is wild as shit. And also, after the murders of Rouge and Shadow, Denji decided to flee the region and go to Shinji, so he could basically get out of Dodge for a while. And he left Alexander in charge of operations in Vermilion City and the L'Oreal region. So for this part, I am going to talk about how you can pretty much spot a Demon Clan member or a Demon Clan affiliate, right? For you to spot out a Demon Clan affiliate, they would have demon horns tattooed somewhere on either their face or on their neck. It's just 2 horns, and that's pretty much it. If they are a full-on member of the Demon Clan, they have those demon horns branded onto them. So yeah, they have that little branding iron, and they have it branded onto them. and it doesn't need to be on the face or on the neck. It could be anywhere on the body. Hell, it could be on your chest. It could be on your ass cheeks. It doesn't matter. Like, is that's just how it is. And another thing about the demon clan is that, like I said before in the video, they won't really mess with you unless you are a threat to them. If you are a threat to the demon clan, they will come after you and they will wipe you out. So all you have to do is just pretty much mind your own business, don't get in their way, and you'll be safe. They're not people that will just come out of the woodwork and just kill people for no reason. No. They have reasons for why they do things. Maybe they'll spill a little bit of blood just to get what they want. But as far as to just go after people, even for Demon Clan standards, they're not gonna fucking do that, which is wild. And like I said before, also, I remember Alexander, like, the co-leader of the Demon Clan, tried to get us to join, me and Lydia, and even the Harlots later on. And we told him to fuck off because we weren't about that crazy shit that they were about. But other than that, that's really all I can say about the Demon Clan. But I do have one thing to say also, that there is let's just say there is a group, or not even a group, but they're more of like a gang. They're more of like a gang. But their leader is sort of kind of like Denji. They're not as deadly as he is. Like, they aren't as deadly as he is, but he has that same master of manipulation, and he also, let's just say, he also sleeps around a lot. So I might do that next, but who knows. But anyway, that's all I'm here for. Thank you guys for watching the videos. Please like and subscribe. I hope you guys are having a great day. And as always, stay pretty, my harlots.